Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all my blessed beloveds out there in video land. You're watching Living and Thriving with Rustie, and I'm Rustie. And as you can see, it's starting to get humid here in Florida. So I'm Puff the Magic Dragon, a lion, I don't know. Let it go. It is what it is. Oil choice of today is, it has to be always, now I can't find it, right? Where's my favorite oil? I must have put it away. Oh, there it is. Absolute favorite. A little bit of my water in the morning, a little bit on my body to brighten myself up. Just love tangerine or anything citrus bloom. Terrific stuff. Absolutely love it. Today's guest is Kristian, and I'm really looking forward to finding out what makes Kristian tick. But until then, know that a couple of these shows are actually sponsored. I actually am starting to get sponsors, which is mind-blowing. We've hit a couple of milestones, and medium.com is doing very well. Patreon is picking up and getting, its sea legs, so to speak. And I'm excited. Things are doing pretty well. Now, if I can find a darn school bus so that I can build a schoolie and take this show on the road, I'd be really excited. So anybody out there want to give me a bus? I ain't afraid of working. Hook a sister up. I'm telling you. Kristian, are you out there? Hello? Well, I see Kristian's face, but I don't see anything more. So I'm not sure. Hello?
Hi.
Ah, there you are. I can hear you.
Yes, 1 second. Sorry.
No worries.
How are you, Rustie? It's a pleasure meeting you.
It's nice to meet you as well. I'm living the dream. I live in the south of Florida, so I'm surrounded by various reptiles and birds and sunshine and life forms that are hard to describe in one word.
No kidding. I hear that.
What state are you in?
I live just south of Buffalo, New York.
Oh, you're getting the pretty weather right now.
It is. It's sunny. It's wonderfully lovely outside. I think it's going to be low 70s today, so it's right up my alley.
You're breaking out the shorts and the coat.
Very good stuff.
Yeah, I remember those days. I went to college in Vermont, so I've had a few winters of my own, and I ran as though I was on fire, though, after about 20 winters. I just...
Right.
I'm good.
Enough was enough.
Yeah, I spend the summer in New England because it's just beautiful. This time of year is like one of my favorite times up north. Everything's just crisp and blossoming and fresh and exciting.
Exactly.
Whereas we have 0 seasons here in Florida, unless you count the traffic. So when the snowbirds come, we know it's winter. Can't drive.
Kidding. Yeah, my mom lived in Florida. I think, and she was there probably 15 years. I think I got down there twice. I'm not a huge fan of the heat. I guess maybe it's my Norwegian blood or something. I don't know. It's too hot for me.
Once a Viking, always a Viking.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, my friends. So who are you? What do you do? And why do you do what you do?
Well, I'm a health and mindset coach, and I'm a mountain bike skills instructor. And so I've been mountain biking 30 plus years, and someone in my local community a couple of years ago was like, hey, you should get certified to teach people how to ride, because the mountain biking community was growing like a volcano. And so it made sense to kind of get certified, and that's been going great. I'm really happy to kind of just share some skills and the joy and the fun that I have around the sport with others and get them going too. So that's awesome. With the health and mindset coaching, it's incredibly rewarding for me to witness people go through transformations they've been trying to make, sometimes for decades. It's like something that they've been challenged with for a long, long time. And then to be able to see them, start making progress and seeing the hope light up in them. And then as they roll forward and really start to make big changes, and then choose to make changes that they didn't even imagine were possible when we started working together. And by the time we're done working together, they've achieved things that were completely off their radar, and not even really, again, not really anything that they were considering as a possibility. So, seeing their face light up, when we talk about how the transformation makes them feel, and it's all from the heart, and there's tears, but it's joy. It's not this like sadness piece. It's they're achieving things that are wonderful for them, and it brings on this real strong emotional reaction. So when I witness that, it's like getting paid in diamonds. It's just really, really special for me. And I just feel super lucky that I'm in position to be able to offer that to people. I went through some tough challenges in my life, and I guess it gave me perspective on that type of thing.
Do you ever talk to your clients about the challenges that you went through?
Sometimes. I spend the vast majority of the time trying to just be real empathetic in listening. And so I do relate back to, the things that I faced, and, what worked for me, and how having an accountability partner can be really beneficial, and how it helped me. And then how mindset shifts and different perspectives really gave me the tools, I guess, to be able to make those changes in my life. And some of the changes I made were, I don't know, they just sort of popped up out of nowhere. It was like I didn't have any guidance, or and I think the changes would have been far easier and less stressful if I did have some guidance along the way with some of those changes. But making my way through them, and going through that standard, like a little bit of progress, fall back a little bit of progress, fall back, and so it gave me a clear view of like when making changes, there's no real straight line path from where you are to where you want to be. There's always going to be setbacks and a little bit of failure along the way. And I think helping people understand that failure is part of the journey really, really helps, because I think a lot of people see failure as this it's like the terminus at the end of a dead end road for some people. It's like, if I fail, I can't even keep going on this journey. I'm done. And so having that perspective of like, yeah, it's okay to have a hiccup or setback or roadblock along the way. And you just got to keep believing in yourself, and, keep fighting.
I think there's an interesting transition sociologically with humans when it comes to turning like 5 or 6 years of age. So prior to that, we're picking our nose and chasing butterflies, and there's fairies and gnomes and castles and dragons, and oh my, everything's so exciting. And we can fall and get back up because we bounce, and we're okay, and we're safe, and we do this, and we explore and experiment. And then all of a sudden something happens when we're like 6 or 7, and we have to become serious and focused and not fail and get good grades and become the lawyer, doctor, overachiever, ulcer-ridden, heart attack early person. And I don't know what that's about. I don't know how we shift and transition into kind of the self-destructive walking bomb.
Right. I hear you. It seems like before, and I love that you're relating it to that kind of age time frame, because it certainly resonates with me. It's almost as if, before that age, when, adventure and joy and, seeking awesome things. And that's the only thing that's really important. And then there's like this transition where it's like, here are a bunch of lessons that society wants to teach you. And the vast majority of these lessons were never true, but a huge percentage of the population lives by them. And so it's like, being a child and coming to the realization that what you want and what you need have to be secondary to school, work, whatever the parents have going on, whatever siblings have going on. It's like we are getting this message for years and years and years that what you want and what you need aren't necessarily important. It's like everything else has to come first. And so, on your birthday, on that day, you get what you want and what you need. And like on Christmas, you might get some stuff that you want or need. And it's like we sort of pigeonhole everyone into the rest of the time. Your contribution to your community and society is more important than than what's important to you, and so I think you're right. It's like we have these ideals and societal like lessons that are forced on us, and it changes us. Like it turns us into different people. I think you're right.
I think it's interesting, especially for women. As I travel virtually throughout the world, I get to learn so much about different cultures and different people and different ways of being and living and existing and expectations. And, for years, women had to have children or you would never get married. You'd never have a house. You'd never have anything. And there were a lot of women who just didn't want to have children.
Right.
But there was a societal expectation that required to the point of homelessness if you did not. And all of that shifted, obviously, but it's amazing how we do pigeon-toe ourselves into these very strange requirements in order to be a part of the social dichotomy.
Sure.
And as we stretch and grow and get older and get better with who we are as an authentic bag of water floating on this planet, you become less filtered and less attached and less focused on these superficial, nonsensical ideologies that came out of somebody else's head, not mine.
Right.
And it's like, we have this ideology, especially here in God's waiting room, that you have to wait until you're 65 in order to go cross country and with a backpack and a tent. Right. And I will tell you, at the age of 45, it's getting harder for me to heave ho out of bed. I couldn't imagine, laying on the ground at 75. I'm going to do it because I'm stubborn. But my retirement starts now, Yeah. And people look at me funny. They're like, but don't you want 401ks and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, no, I just actually want to enjoy life and live. And somewhere along the lines, we've skipped out on the, hey, it's okay to go and live your life.
Yeah. There's a sort of taboo around it. I think it's like, if you're not following all these goofy societal rules and like you say, it's like, like your example with women and having babies, like if they're not following that, it's almost like a protocol where it's like, if you're not following that step by step, then you're failing and like you're not living your life. And so, people who are trying to live their life before this like imaginary time in the future when they'll be able to finally set themselves free. And you're right. It's like, what can I really do to enjoy life at that age? If you're really frail, or who knows I mean, it's like, it's almost speculation to think that you will make it to that age. You know, everybody wants to live a full life and get there, but there's so much that we don't know. It's impossible to guarantee that that's where you're going.
We don't know how much time is in that hourglass that we have flipped over in the beginning and we're chasing, we're
Right.
surfing. So give us 3 of your favorite things to do to start reprogramming your mindset into something more positive and more authentic and more living.
Sure. So one thing I like to do is kind of zero in on one of my 5 senses as a practice. So like with yoga, it's sort of focusing in on the breath, but any of those senses, if you really zero in on them and pay attention to them, then it's like they're the wheels of constant thought finally stop. And, you know, it's like you can gain a sense of peace out of that and gain maybe an inner wisdom that the thought seems to drown out. And like, you know, it's just this white noise sometimes with all the things that we have to do. And so that's one. I really like to kind of zero in on that. I'm constantly reading about mindset change and the psychology of change. Because I think it's fascinating how it's so difficult for humans because it's just been this generational set of lessons that have been taught over so long that it makes change impossible for some people, and certainly very, very difficult for the vast majority of people who decide they will change. It's still hard because there's the same message that, you know, if you fail, you're doomed. If you don't do it right, you're doomed. If you know, and so it's just, there's so much negativity around change. And so that's been really eye-opening for me to, you know, focus in on that stuff. Third, I just love to move my body and be in nature. You know, someone said once to me, they're like, if you stop moving, you start dying. And I think that really has like a pretty solid foundation in truth. Like, you know, it's when we get out in nature, people who are experts at this and study these things, it's like, it's easy to show that stress can easily be lowered in nature. And like, we're making a connection with our ancient selves in a way that we've insulated ourselves from nature in a lot of things we do. Everybody wears shoes, and so there's no connection with the microbiota that are in the soil that, you know, we and negative ions. Like there's an exchange of energy when we connect with nature that you can't get inside your house. And so those 3 are probably my top.
I think it's very difficult for us as walking sacks of water who think that we can control our environment, yet we're very liquid and very fluid. And we are nothing but bouncing, you know, atoms. We're just ding, 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 ding everywhere.
Right.
And we have this primordial brain that's fight or flight, caveman, food, eat now. Yeah. And then we have technology, which is like constantly beating us over the head with just all kinds of messaging to the point where it's tone deaf. It's just, you know, that you're going to get beaten with something, you know, and it's always negative. I don't find any of the commercials positive.
Right.
You know, they might be snarky or funny, but they're not healthy on any level. Right. And you're inundated, your phone, your games, the radio, billboards. And you know, if you live in New York, then, you know, I drive through there 3 or 4 times a year, and it's just constant lights and zing, zing, zing everywhere. Yeah. I think it's really hard for people to acknowledge that they have in order for them to be at their healthiest, they have to unplug and detach from what has been created as an illusion. And I love the fact that you are aware of that, but you also mountain bike. So, you know, there's a win-win there, because you get that adrenaline high and you fall and you cut yourself, and, you know, you get mad and you get up and you do it again. I have a lot of friends that mountain bike, and they're crazy.
Yeah.
But they're not plugged in. They're not attached to this, you know, visceral world of crapola that we've created. And they're some of the healthiest people I've ever met.
No kidding. Yeah, I'm lucky. I was introduced to it right after high school, and it just resonated so strongly with me. And I'm lucky enough that I've been, you know, healthy through. I had a crash. I was living in Boulder, Colorado, and I crashed and blew my shoulder out. So I was on the couch for 4 months, and like that changed, kind of changed my perspective about how I wanted to ride, you know, and so I don't take the risks that I used to, and it just, I just want to stay healthy. I want to stay on my bike. I want to be able to be out in nature. And you're right. It's like, you're talking about this message that we keep getting. It's like, it is books, media, TV, movies, you know, and every once in a while there's like a documentary that's real and like genuine and honest. Like, ooh, this stands out as something that's really eye-catching. So I think you're right. It's like we're really inundated with these false messages that are just constant. And by unplugging and separating myself from the constant message, I feel like I'm happier. I'm more grateful for what I have and who I am, as opposed to constantly thinking about what I don't have, or you know, what I would like to have, or, you know, it's I think happiness really relates to gratitude in a tight bond. But if you're constantly plugged in, then you're constantly getting the message of you're not good enough because you don't have all of these things and you haven't achieved whatever in your life. You know, it's like those societal lessons are, again, I keep going back to that, but they're just always false.
Even the people that call me every 20 minutes asking me about my car warranty, it's false. Stop calling. I appreciate you care about my car that much, but it's a little obsessive.
That's so funny. I know that. And like the student loan thing, like I finished paying off my student loans, I think 15, 17 years ago, something like that. And I still like, oh, this call is super important because it's about your student loans. And I'm like, what an odd thing to say to someone who is long done with that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm just kind of scratching my head. And when I'm feeling frisky, I'll be like, which one? Which school? Right. I have 12 degrees. What one are you talking about? The $120,000 one? How much commission do you make off of that?
Right.
And for some reason, they just hang up on me. They just don't always like to play back.
Right. They're looking for the standard response. And when they get something that isn't, whatever, isn't in their typical response, they're like, whoa, geez, I can't handle this. Hang up.
Well, you would think that they would have like a chat room for all of these people who do these scammy calls, and they could all be like, oh, don't call that number, she's a bitch. You know, like we have those rooms where we'd be like, hey, avoid that number, block it.
Right. This person might actually ask you a question. Don't call them. Don't call them.
Don't waste your time. So by the time this airs, it is going to be the holiday season.
Okay.
So talk to us a little bit about coping with my absolute favorite conversation. Well, you're 45 now. Do you have plans for your future?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
You know, I think it's like, on some level, if you don't plan, you're sort of planning to fail. But it doesn't have to be the plans and the structure and the schedule that we're convinced it has to be on. I think it's just like, each individual is allowed to determine what they want their purpose to be. Like, they're allowed to plan their life the way they want, even if they're dismissing all of these messages and dictated structure that society is trying to force on us. Like,
Guess what, everybody? He said we're allowed to choose our happiness. What? How many years have I been saying this to you guys? Choose it, baby. It's all yours. Grab those reins.
That's
Go ahead,
right.
Kristian.
Yeah. And so it's internal. If we're searching for happiness in some unachieved status or some physical object that we don't have yet, if our happiness is grounded in that type of thing we don't have yet, then there's no end to that search. We will always be stuck upping the bar of like, well, when I get this, I'll be happy. When I achieve this, I'll be happy. When I live here, I'll be happy. And instead, if we're just happy and grateful for what we already have, and then that status doesn't keep us from wanting to become better people every day. It doesn't keep us from, wanting awesome things in our lives. But we're not like forcing happiness to wait. And we're not, again, pigeonholing ourselves into some view that society thinks we have to fit in, So I think
I think the holidays are really tough for people, especially people like me who, I've gotten really good with who I am as an individual. I know my purpose on this planet. I know what I want to do, and I know what makes me happy and passionate. And I live that way. I live that way with intention, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my whole entire life. Like, this is the best part of my life. And I'm very fortunate where I get to meet a whole bunch of different kinds of people. I get to, famous people and regular everyday people like myself. And I find that the largest key to unraveling or unprogramming your mindset is to really figure out what it is that makes you happy. Because I know a lot of multimillionaires that are the loneliest, most nervous people because people come at them for their money, not for them.
Right.
And so would I say no to a full bank account? Hell no, I'm ready. Just come on, deposit. But I don't want to give up living my life to eventually have a full bank account and an empty heart.
Right. No kidding. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you're right. Like, there are plenty of wildly unhappy rich people, bitter and hateful and accusatory and, really struggle finding anything positive in their lives. And then there's tons and tons of poor people who have absolutely nothing, and they just live their lives every day with a smile on their face. And it's like, it isn't about what we have. It's about that mindset that what I have is okay. No matter what it is, it's okay. And can it improve? Sure. But I don't need to base my level of happiness on whether or not I achieve that thing. So.
Yeah, and I think holidays, when this airs, it's kind of it's a tougher time period for people who struggle with wanting to do their passion and being authentic, and family recommendations, to put it nicely.
Sure.
And then there's this overwhelming Americanized thing about, oh, it has to be $500 per child for Christmas, and don't forget $50 per, aunt and uncle, and just like this really convoluted, backwards, unhappy holiday gathering, if that makes sense to you.
It does.
And the Black Third Friday, whatever it is, where people trample over each other for TVs. When I become president, that's going to be abolished. That is going to be against the law.
Exactly.
Because that is the antithesis of what the holidays are about.
Right.
You're supposed to work your butt off, pay your bills, and have a couple of days where it's just hot chocolate, maybe some Jameson, not judging, and stinky breaths and pajamas and just family time of being lounge lizards and playing games and just being together. Not this pump and circumstance of who gets the biggest and brightest and shiniest. And
No kidding.
twisted that. And I think it's the downfall of society in a lot of ways, but I also think that with programs like yours and what you offer, you're able to help reprogram people so that that's not a focal point anymore.
Right. And I think, it's such amazing irony that the day after Thanksgiving, when we're supposed to really reflect on what's great in our lives and what we're thankful for, and then less than 24 hours later, we're shifting, and it's like this fake holiday of Black Friday becomes a distraction from Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's about what I have and what's great, but that's not even given enough time because everyone's thinking during Thanksgiving about Black Friday. So it's they're not reflecting what they're thankful for necessarily. It's Black Friday comes along and the entire focus is on what we don't have because we gotta hurry up and get out there and get all of the things. And it's such strange irony to me that, this sense of things and having things that give you status is so much more important than heartfelt conversations and being real with one another and, getting past the stigma of mental health and really showing someone that you care and that you find them important. There's just, it's almost taboo to just be real. Sometimes I'll say something that's outside the typical chatter, and you can just see people's eyes glaze over. They're I'm not hearing this right now, and it's I'm not willing to be real. And so it's disturbing. I think you're right. When you are president, if you could get rid of Black Friday, I would celebrate that wildly.
You and a whole bunch of other people, because what is necessary and what is most needed in our society all around the globe, whether you're a flat earther or a round earther, there's always another place to be. And we don't have enough communication one-on-one, face-to-face. And that's why this show is so important to me. I'm so passionate about what I do, because these conversations help somebody either encourage them to do something different in their life, encourage them to follow their passion, or enlighten them to realize that maybe what they're doing is not authentic and not overall healthy. If you want to live a long life, unplug. It's really that simple. Don't be a consumer. But larger, instead of Black Friday, we should have Volunteer Friday. So, go and hang out and get fat on the carbs and whatever you're chowing down that day. And the next day, go and help Habitat for Humanity, or go and, do stocking at Goodwill or at a food shelf, or something that actually provides a service to the community. And purchasing huge, stupid, shiny things only provides garbage and pollution and climate change. Yes, it's real climate change. Oh, I said it.
Yeah. And then beating someone up on the way to getting that shiny thing. It's there's just this toxic theme that goes along with that, quote unquote holiday that people cherish so wildly.
I don't even celebrate them anymore. It's so crazy. My daughter's 16 and we'll do a theme park because we're in Florida, or we'll go to the movies, or just do something memory making versus making dust. I hate dusting. I got to that age, Kristian, where I just hate dusting.
I hear you.
So where can we find more information about you? Unfortunately, our hourglass is winding down, and I want to make sure people can reach out to you, especially this time of year. This is a great time to reevaluate and reassess who you are as an individual and how you're presenting yourself to this planet and what you want to achieve. And Kristian can help you do that.
Sure. So I can be found on Facebook and Instagram at Wellness with Kristian, Kristian spelled Kristian, and then wellnesswithkristian.com. So that's the easy way to find me. And yeah, I help people kind of see things in a different perspective, and that helps them change their lives forever.
And that's what we want. We want to reprogram ourselves and get out of that primordial gerbil in a ball thing that we've been doing forever. Not me personally. I mean, I'm perfect.
Right. Kind of get back to that feeling we had before 5 or 6, when it was like we're seeking joy, we're seeking happiness rather than seeking things we're told we're supposed to seek.
Yeah, it's I want to be able to chase butterflies and people not arrest me.
Right.
Oh, look at the crazy old lady. She's doing it again. Honey.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Can you get a video of this, please? Like
on the next TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
Kristian, it's been fun. You have a beautiful summer, and keep me posted if anything new and fun happens in your world. Okay.
Absolutely, Rustie. I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for coming on.
All right. Take care.
You're watching Living and Thriving with Rustie. I'm Rustie, and this is what I love to do. This is the place that makes me the happiest, and I feel like the shiny object in the middle of the room because I get to meet amazing people all over the world doing amazing things. And if you don't think mountain biking and reprogramming your brain have a lot in common, think again. Go up and see Kristian. Check out his website, links down below. Know that you're beautiful. Know that I love you. And as always, do something kind. Definitely unwind and don't mind what other people say. I'm inspired by Dr. Seuss today. Until next time, take care.